Okay, so today's topic, we're going to talk about nutrition. And this message is more for coaches and parents who's going to take care of the junior athletes.
好，那我们今天直播要讲的主题呢，是要讲到运动营养部分。那这个对教练或者是家长可能会需要了解到，就是因为他们需要针对他们的运动员或是小孩去做这方面的资讯的这个部分，对。
So I think some people who is going to listen to this lecture probably know that the last probably 2 to 3 years I talked about the sport and nutrition in different places. We already hosted some event about the sport and nutrition, but I think this is really an important message for coaches and parents to know.
那这些年 Dr. Sato 也在很多地方、很多演讲也有讲到关于运动营养的部分。那他也认为这个对家长跟教练来说都是一个非常重要的知识。
Okay, so let's go to the sport nutrition part on the slide, and the first part I have here is talking about how nutrition is influencing different factors.
好，那这边第一张 PPT 大致上主要是要讲说，要介绍说营养对于我们身体的一些功能或恢复会造成什么样的影响。
So this is going off of evidence-based information from the research. That the research showing that the specific nutrition helps you to recover well and helps you to change your physique. So that's really a good information that if you have the right nutrition to your body, okay, you can recover very well and you can actually change the physique, less body fat or gain muscle mass.
好，那现在有非常多的研究显示说，如果你有摄取正确的营养的话，那是可以改变你的体态，像你可以有达到减脂的作用，或是增重等等。那也可以帮助你的身体的恢复，在运动过后或训练过后恢复会有比较好的结果。那这都是研究显示的。
And this is another important part that we all know that if you recover very well, okay, from let's say today's training and right nutrition, and then you recover, you can train next day without feeling the fatigue. So the recovery portion from nutrition is very important.
所以我们也都知道说，如果你在今天的训练之后，你有很好的恢复的话，那你就可以再继续为明天的训练做准备。所以大家都知道，恢复跟我们等一下会提到运动表现的部分有非常大的关系。
And then also the nutrition part, okay, talking about the recovery is more like acute, meaning that it's a short term. You're talking about the next day, okay? The physique part, on the other hand, you cannot change a physique in 1 day or 1 week, right? So physique is more for long term to change your body shape.
好，那刚才讲到恢复的部分，比较像是你可以立即看到的改善，比如说你今天训练完，然后借由营养补充，然后可以让你获得很好的恢复状态。那你在明天的训练可以获得可能比较好的效果。那在另外一部分体态的部分，那你借由营养的摄取，正确营养摄取，去改善你体态的部分，是对于你长期的运动表现会有比较直接的效果。
So when you talk about the nutrition to help recover well and then change the physique over time, so those two factors ultimately influence the overall sports performance.
好，那所以Dr. Sato也讲到，就是刚刚有讲到恢复跟体态这两个地方的改变，都会相互的影响到你选手运动表现的结果。
So let's go to the next slide, talking about what's the difference, okay? And in my opinion, I've been to different countries, so I know this very well about Taiwan. When you talk about the nutrition, generally in Taiwan, they think of more the healthy food. So the concept it becomes more health conscious diet.
那Dr. Sato 到很多地方去演讲过，那他也特别提到，在台湾，当大家讲到了营养这个概念的话，大家第一个可能会想到的是关于健康营养的部分，那就是在我们 PPT 的左边这个地方，大家会想到健康饮食，就是大家的想象大部分都是这个样子。
And one of the good example about Taiwan, though, talking about the low sugar, low fat, okay, always, I hear this term all the time, oh, that's too much sugar, that's too much fat, okay, and then they're thinking more from the health conscious ideas.
OK， 那在台湾呢，大家想到可能健康的饮食，那第一个想到就是会有，我们会讲到低糖低碳。就大家都会说要吃低糖低碳饮食，那低脂肪的饮食，或甚至你要均衡饮食，那这是大部分人对健康营养的概念。
For sports nutrition, of course, the food selection is important. However, if I show you the list here, I'm talking more about hydration level, protein intake. Okay, recovery and timing. So strategy is more important for sports nutrition.
那当我们讲到运动营养的时候呢，虽然食物的选择上面也是非常重要的，那不过运动营养这边会更强调几个重点。那第一个就是你必须要补充足够的水分，然后接下来就是蛋白质的补充，然后接下来就是可能跟前面讲到要跟你的恢复会有关系，然后以及最后一个就是你什么时候摄取，就是你摄取的时机点是什么。
Okay, so let's go to the next slide talking about the health perspective of nutrition and then how that related to sports performance.
那接下来我们讲到说，运动营养跟健康营养，他们在现实方面，就是他们能分别提供什么样的效果
So I mentioned that the health perspective is more for the lifestyle, okay? And then I believe for athletes, it's important to know what's considered to be healthy and what's considered to be unhealthy. So you have to understand the health-related nutrition, of course.
好，那第一个大概稍微先讲到健康营养的部分，那这对运动员来说也非常重要，因为他们必须知道说什么是健康的饮食，那什么是不健康的饮食，以及他们对人体所带来的效果。
So as I mentioned, that for sports nutrition aspect, you have to think about the recovery, and then you have to think about the change in the physique. Okay, and then a lot of research is showing that it's actually very effective to change your diet to change your physique, or change your diet to be able to recover faster.
那在讲到运动营养的部分呢，就是会特别提到它对于体态的改善，以及对于场上运动表现的能够提供什么样的帮助。
And I think this is a very important statement on the bottom, is saying that no research supports performance improvement for nutrition only. Okay, so for example, just because you eat a certain food, that doesn't mean that your performance improved. Okay, that sounds like a magic pill, right? The magic medicine. Okay, the nutrition is not like that, and then the research is also showing that just because you have a certain food, that doesn't mean that your overall performance always go up.
OK， 那目前的研究也显示说呢，就是您摄取营养的时候，它可以对你的身体造成改变。那但是并没有研究显示说你摄取的营养可以直接反映到你的运动表现上面，让你的运动表现可以进步。那达尔萨维也举例说，像你在日常生活当中，你没有办法吃一个东西，你就立即看到说，哦，它对你的表现能够有立即的效果。
So the next slide, I believe some people in the audience have seen this before. That this is from the Japanese company that we partner with for amino bio supplements. Okay, they are talking about how balanced nutrition on a daily basis with a specific timing helps you to recover your body so you can maintain your high quality training.
好，那 大家想说，在座大部分应该有些人看过这张图。那这张图是出自于Pigford 合作的公司叫做Amino Vital。那这张图他们想要显示的就是一般他们觉得在日常生活的饮食当中，什么样的配置是一个比较健康的饮食。
Yeah, the one thing I like about Amino Vital people is not just giving the supplement to athletes, they're actually educating athletes with what's called a winning meal, okay? How to eat correctly, because again, that one supplement is not going to help sports performance, right? It's the overall food intake on a daily basis can change your physique, can change the recovery process. So the balanced food like this is actually the factor for changing your performance.
那Dr. Sato 这边提到呢，就是当你要在运动场上表现要能够有提升的话，你不能只有单一摄取某些东西，而是你是要在各个营养方面都能够均衡饮食，并且你在品质跟摄取量上面要有足够的控制。
So the next question I always get when I show this kind of picture, a lot of people ask me, is this always the same for different sports or different level of athletes? So I want to answer that question in the next several slides.
好，那大家也常常问到Dr. Sato一个问题，就是说，是不是每个人对于营养摄取方面都是要一样的？那不同的运动项目会不会需要有不同的营养摄取？那Dr. Sato 接下来会在下面的 PPT 做介绍。
So I like to separate into like 6 different categories like this slide. Okay, it's easy for visual information about main carbohydrate source or protein source, vegetables, milk product, soup product, or fruits. Okay, so this one can kind of categorize your food intake.
好，那Dr. Sato 接下来会把它食物主要分成6大类，那分别是主食，就是可能我们平常碳水化合物，那蛋白质、青菜类，然后汤，然后乳制品跟水果。接下来会分别做这6个介绍。
So if you actually go to the next slides to look at it, the first one I want to mention about this is very general, general look of the nutrition that's kind of separating into carbohydrate, protein, and fat intake. Okay.
好，那一般大家来讲，要有一个均衡的饮食的话，我们会主要分成3大类，分别是碳水化合物、蛋白质跟脂肪。
And then this is more like a standard, but I know how Taiwanese people are more carbohydrate oriented diet. So one of the things that we check the food intake of peak force athletes, it's usually carbohydrate only. So you have to be somewhat careful to be able to take enough protein in a diet.
好，那这边提到的是上面写的碳水化合物60%到70%，蛋白质20%，脂肪10%到20%，这是一个标准的比例。那Dr. Sato也讲到，在台湾大部分人都会摄取过多的碳水化合物。那由于食物选择的关系，所以我们会摄取太多碳水化合物部分，导致你可能一天的饮食里面大部分都是由碳水化合物所组成。那所以如果你要在饮食方面有个均衡的饮食化，那你需要特别注意你的碳水化合物的摄取量以及蛋白质跟脂肪的摄取量。
So I'll give you an example of some of the pictures. Okay, some of our athletes send us a picture of what kind of food they eat, right?
Yeah.
On daily basis. Okay, big portion of rice, and then a lot of vegetables. Okay, and then athletes might think it's healthy because it's a lot of vegetables, but the vegetables are mainly carbohydrate. So in the picture itself, it looks like 95% carbohydrate.
Okay.
So it looks kind of healthy, but it's actually not for athletic population.
好，那在我们Peak Force 每个选手群组里面，他们都会把每天吃的每一餐把它拍摄到，就是上传到我们的 Live 群组里面。那他们就是上面可以看到，就是他们平常吃的食物里面呢，就是有很大一部分是饭或是面类，然后再来是也有一个青菜，也有一部分是青菜的部分。那可能他们或者是大部分人会觉得说，这样子的话可能是一个比较均衡的饮食，因为你有主食，有碳水化合物，那也有青菜。但其实呢，青菜也是一部分的碳水化合物。
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So now the bar looks very different from the well-balanced meal, right? So if you actually look at this bar length, you see the carbohydrate portion, whether it's the rice or noodle, okay, that portion is very, very short.
好，所以接下来要讲到就是，如果你是有对于体重上面有控制需求的人的话，那这张图就可以看到你在碳水化合物这个的比例呢，就会非常的低。
Yeah, so this graph looks very sad for Taiwanese people because it kind of eliminates the carbohydrate portion. However, if you look at the vegetable portion, it's pretty sufficient amount. Okay, so what I'm trying to do for this kind of case to control the body weight. Okay, control the body weight. You reduce the amount of complex carbohydrate. Okay, rice or pasta, noodles, okay, bread, and then you maintain your vegetable intake. Okay, so you can have a sufficient amount of carbohydrate, and then you have sufficient amount of protein intake.
好，那这张图可以看到，就是在主食我们一般所摄取的碳水化合物的这个部分呢，它会非常低，但是在青菜的部分，它的摄取量是非常高的。那由于青菜也是刚大家稍微提到，它也是碳水化合物的一部分，所以我们会借由减少我们摄取一些饭食或是面包或者是意大利面，那借由多摄取大量的蔬菜来达到我们也能够有足够的碳水化合物的摄取。
And then I'm not saying that athletes have to do this kind of diet all the time, but we train a lot of athletes who are under the weight category. So a lot of the combat sports, it has to be in a specific weight class, right? So before the competition, they have to control the weight. And then a lot of coaches ask me, so how can we do it? What's the best way to control the weight loss? Okay, this is the right answer. Okay, you don't have to do this all the time throughout the year, but right before the competition, you change the diet like this. Okay, so that way you can reduce the body weight, okay, from reducing the carbohydrate intake.
好，那大部分人很多人都会问大卫Sato说，那我需要就是每一天一整年都是以这个比例来摄取我们所谓的营养嘛？那其实很多包括像拳击、跆拳道，他们是有量级之分的。那他们可能需要在比赛前控制他们的体重。那大卫Sato这边就会建议说，你可能需要在比赛前可能几个月或是几个礼拜，依这个比例的方法去摄取你所需要的各种食物所含的营养，这样就能够有效的控制你在体重控管方面的问题。
Yeah, and then I think this graph really good representation of keeping the protein intake high. So muscle replenishment is very good, and then you have enough vegetable intake to get the vitamins, okay, and then minerals in your body, and then that's also carbohydrate. So your immune system is, you can keep it pretty high, so you can actually function your body very well with this kind of diet.
那这张图里面除了讲到碳水化合物的部分呢，那它也会有非常 大量的蛋白质的补充，那借由足够蛋白质的补充呢，可以帮助你肌肉能有更有效的生长。那另外呢，蔬菜跟水果部分，刚刚除了讲到它们是碳水化合物之外，它们也有提供非常多的微量的营养素，可以帮助你的身体能提高它的免疫力，那能够在表现身体功能方面能够更加的健全。
Okay. So let's go to the next slide talking about the muscle mass gain. Okay. And then I also have a lot of coaches asking me this question. Okay. Especially like a high school baseball coaches ask me what kind of nutrition, guidance you give to the skinny players. Okay. And the skinny players, one way to say it's a genetic. Okay. Until it gets to the maturity level. But for a lot of the athletes who want to gain the muscle, you have to gain the protein intake, but at the same time, you have to gain the total calorie intake.
好，那接下来这个 PPT 主要是要讲说，怎么样的饮食能够我们增加我们的肌肉质量。那很多高中或者是基层的球队的教练都会问大家说，那我要怎么样教我们那些比较瘦小的选手？那告诉他们要怎么吃才能够让他们就是长壮一点。那这个部分的话，就是会需要比较大量的蛋白质的摄取。
So let's say from the training perspective, if you want to gain muscle, people try to do hypertrophy training, right? High volume training. Okay. At the same time, the nutrition-wise, you have to do a lot of protein intake along with higher calorie intake. Okay, and then the calculation is about twice of your body weight per kilogram. So if you weigh 50 kilo body weight, you have to get about 100 grams of protein every day to have that good effect of hypertrophy training.
好，那这边提到要增加肌肉质量的部分呢，我们在训练上通常会采取肌肥大的方式去做训练。那在运动营养上呢，我们需要摄取足够的蛋白质。那要怎么样？要摄取多少蛋白质呢？那到Sato这边说，就是我们可能假设你是50公斤的话，那你可能一天就需要摄取到100克的蛋白质。
So this is so important because a lot of time, some of the junior athletes who want to gain muscle mass, they do a lot of hypertrophy training. But if I look at their diet, okay, they don't even take 50 grams of protein. So of course they cannot replenish the muscle tissue, and then they keep feeling sore all the time because the muscle doesn't get replenished. So anywhere from, let's say if you're 50 kilo body weight, okay, you have to have around 100 grams of protein for sure to replenish those hypertrophy effects.
那过去当时常常看到说，很多基层的运动选手，就是比较瘦小的运动选手，他们有足够的训练量在肌肥大的部分，但是他们发觉它的营养摄取部分，它的蛋白质一天甚至摄取不到50公克。那你这样子其实就很难对于你的肌肉有足够的营养去让它做增长的部分。
Okay. So let's go to the next slide talking about the hydration. And then I believe the hydration information is very well rounded in Taiwan. A lot of people know that the hydration is important. Okay. So from the research perspective, if you lose about 2% of your body weight of liquid from sweating, okay, your performance go down. So you want to maintain around 1% of your body weight worth of sweat. Okay, so that's why you need to have your body hydrated.
好，那目前大家也越来越知道说，你流失水分对于你运动表现上面的影响。那这边提到说，你只要流失超过1%的水分的话，你就会对于你的运动表现上面有很大的影响。
Okay, so if you actually think about how to maintain the hydration level, okay, if you actually look at the next slide, I have a very interesting study in this slide talking about what kind of drink actually maintain its fluid within the body so you can have a very good hydration.
那这边大家有提到一个研究，它非常有趣，它来告诉大家说要摄取什么样不同的饮品，能够让你的水分能够在身体里面有留存越长的时间。
So if you actually look at this, you find it very interesting that the milk product usually have a higher level sustained within the body. So that any milk product maintain within the body for hydration. So that's why this is very good right after exercise, right after training, having some type of a milk product within the body so you can keep that liquid within the body.
好，那这张图可以看到呢，就是它的长条图越高，那就代表它能够被保存在体内的水分就越多。那最后这几个也可以看到，乳制品它其实是一个很好在运动后或者是你训练后来补充你水分的东西，因为它们其实上可以保留在你体内的水分是非常高的。
So this is one good reason for me to have a bubble tea right after training. So the milk product, right, and then sufficient amount of sugar to replenish the glycogen. Okay, so I'm not lying when I say it's an evidence-based. You know, I'm using evidence-based information why bubble tea is actually okay for me to have right after training.
OK， 那大家也知道，大家知道非常喜欢喝珍珠奶茶。那他说他其实这个是有科学根据的，就是你在运动后或者是训练后，你摄取足够的蛋白质，然后以及有足够的糖类，那可以让你在运动后水分的补充能够有达到一个很好的量。
Okay. So let's go to the last part about what's called the nutrient timing. Okay, and then this is from my kind of mentor, but also a good colleague of mine, Dr. John Ivy. He wrote a book about the nutrient timing, and then this is so important for athletic population.
好，那这个 PPT Dr. Sato 主要是引用他之前一个很好的同事他所出的一本书叫做Nutrition Timing。那这里面会讲到说我们要在什么时机点摄取什么样的营养，对于我们的运动表现会是有一个好的效果。
So nutrient timing is basically talking about what kind of specific nutrient you should have before training, during the training, if the training is long, and then the right after. So you can see the specific timing from this slide talking about what kind of stuff is good for your body to have.
那这边就提到说呢，你运动前需要摄取什么样的营养素？那你运动中，如果你的运动时间拉长的话，你需要在运动的过程中摄取哪些营养素？那以及最后你的运动过后、训练过后，你在恢复的时候需要摄取哪些的营养素才能帮助你的恢复？
Yes, so talking about the effect of the nutrient timing, I mentioned in this slide that when you're talking about the weight loss or a healthy lifestyle, the food selection is of course important. But when you talk about the sport and nutrition, along with the food selection, the specific timing of having specific food becomes super important.
好，那最后我们有一个结论，就是当前面两个你提到减重或者是你要有一个健康的生活形态的时候，你需要在选择食物这方面要多加琢磨，就是你要选择怎么样才可以有适当的食物去帮助你达到这些目的。但是当我们讲到运动营养的时候呢，除了你需要选择适当的食物之外，那更重要的就是你需要在对的时机点摄取对的食物，这样才能对你的运动表现上面有很大的帮助。
Okay, so I know that I cannot talk specific about the nutrient timing, but I have a whole section. I can talk all day about the nutrition. I can talk a lot about the different factors for different type of sports. Okay, that's how deep the sports nutrition is. I want people to understand that it's not just about the healthy diet. It's about timing. It's about the quantity, and then how specific you have to take those, and then that influenced the overall training quality.
那待会 Sato 也提到说呢，运动营养其实它是一个非常大的议题，如果要他讲的话，他其实可以讲一整天的。那它会分别针对不同的族群，你可能是打篮球或是打棒球等等不同的族群，那需要摄取什么样相对比较专项的运动营养，那才能对你的运动表现能有很大的帮助。
Okay. As always, if any listeners have a question about the nutrition, we're always open. We're always happy to answer those questions, because when people ask questions, I think it's good that my answer goes to everyone. Everyone can benefit from somebody's question. So I'm always happy to answer any questions on sports nutrition.
那大家如果有问题的话呢，我们也都非常欢迎你提出你对运动营养方面的问题。那大家 Sato 也非常乐意能够回答大家的问题，来帮助大家在这方面上面的资讯。
Okay. And I believe the next week is going to be another broadcasting from Tennessee, and then that'll be my last one from Tennessee, and then the following week I'll do that from Taiwan. Okay?
OK. 好，那下礼拜呢，我们预计也会大家Sato也会在田纳西州那边跟我们远端连线直播。
Guys, thank you very much, and we look forward to any questions and happy to help you.
好，那谢谢大家，我们也非常欢迎大家提出任何问题，我们也Sato也非常乐意帮大家做解答。那谢谢大家。